Welcome, everybody. It's January 19th, 2025, which I have to get used to saying now. Everyone's going to have to change their checks at their banks. My guest tonight lives in Calgary, Alberta, and is a host of the Missing Link, as you can see right here. He's doing very well um, on Rumble, 11,700 followers. That's amazing. He's been doing this for about 4 years. I was going to say three, but he said four, so it's been a long time. He's had a lot of interesting guests, and he's done shows that I've turned down myself. Um, so Jesse's is a freedom of speech absolutist. If I can assume that, we're going to talk to him, find out what compelled him to start the Missing Link, and what keeps him going. Because being a freedom of speech absolutist got him shut down 7 times on YouTube. And YouTube is not really our friend, I don't think. But I'm glad he's got the followers on Rumble as it should be. And we'll talk to him after I play the piano for about 50 seconds. Okay, my mic is crackling. That's not good. Is it still crackling?
You can right now it's okay, but you just hear it from time to time. I heard it while you were doing your intro. I heard it a little bit fumbling around while the piano was going on. I don't really hear it right now, but it's just like I think you're maybe moving the chord or something, and whenever the chord moves, though we can't hear that.
Yeah, I've been having problems. I may need to replace some of my cords. I think my speaker's acting up as well. I'm not really sure. But, whoops. I'm going to try plugging in a little bit. So, what did
It's gone.
compel you?
That it's
It's
the
okay?
static's gone. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, a friend of mine, Fern LaHaye, says hello to both of us. Hello, Fern. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. So, tell me how it all began. How did the Missing Link, how was it inspired? What compelled you to host a podcast?
Well, I've been at this for a very, very long time. I've kind of been awake and aware to, kind of what's going on for 30 plus years. I'm, just turned 51 in October. So since, maybe even 18 or 19, I was trying to get into politics. And when I was 16, I was done a work experience with an alderman. And I just seen how things weren't right. I remember when I was 7 years old or 8 years old, I saw World Vision on TV and people hanging out with their ribs and don't have any food. And I didn't get it because we were throwing our scraps away. So it didn't really make a lot of sense. But, I've been, trying to make people aware and awake to what's going on for, most of my life. And then, when the 2016 election came, I guess when social media came in 2009, I think I joined Facebook and started to, connect with others and, learn a lot and see that I wasn't the only one that was trying to, wake people up to what was happening in the world. It was a long and lonely journey for a very, very long time. But, on social media, obviously I've connected with more and more people. And when the 2016 election rolled around, I didn't want, Hillary Clinton to get elected. So I did everything that I could to expose how dark and devious her and her little crew are. So I spent every single day of the 2016 election when I'd get home from whatever I was doing. I would write an in depth piece on what was happening, what I thought was going on, what I thought people should be aware of. And then I copied and pasted to every single political post that I could find on social media. So I was copying and pasting to 50, 60, 80, 100 posts every night. I did that for 6, 7, 8 straight months every single day. So a lot of the shadow banning, I'm sure I had a big role in why people are getting shadow banned, because I went off, and I'm really fast, and I like, when I'm very diligent. So I went off during the 2016 election and, kind of helped, I think, played a little part in, her losing and Trump winning. But as we know, the leaders are selected and not elected. So most likely he was getting selected anyways. But, 2020 rolls around. And then the first thing that I said when we saw people drop it in the streets was they lit up the 5G. And that's what's going on. That was my public post. That the day of or the next day that we saw the people dropping, that was kind of my kind of intuitive of what was going on. And they didn't want their golden goose of technology, 5G, to be associated with people getting asphyxiated. So then they had to come up with this thing that everybody was scared of getting, I guess, to say. And that's kind of happened in 2020. So during my at the time 20 plus years of trying to make people aware, I was called cult leader Jesse and conspiracy Jesse and crazy Jesse and all this kind of stuff. I was called all these names, but I would post things that were conspiracy. I would post things that were funny. I'd post things that were cute. So I just kind of weren't all just in your face about what was going on. So at least I could kind of try to entertain people while getting the truth out there. But um, you know, a lot of the stuff in the conspiracy world is very fear based because it's dark. It's not a light subject that when you share these type of things, you're not sharing roses and cupcakes. It's one of those things where you're talking about some horrific things that are going on. So it's kind of hard for a lot of people to comprehend it, to ingest it. It's easier that they put up the walls and stuff. So when I seen that they wanted the world in fear, we pivoted. So I think it was on April 8th. So February, March, April, a couple months into it. There was a meditate for the Earth Day with David Wilcock, and he was meditating and he had his Tibetan singing bowl and he was with his wife. So I grabbed my Tibetan singing bowl and I actually went live. And I normally weren't my face. I would sometimes join on people's shows too, but I was kind of behind the scenes showing things. I never really saw myself as being kind of like a face of anything really. I just kind of wanted people to become aware of things without, me, needing any recognition of it. So I would join on people's shows. People asked me to come on, talk about my opinions and things because I was well versed on a lot of things. So when I went live kind of for the first time on my own, like I had a friend that she wanted help going live. So we went 45 days straight and then 45 days straight to her subjects, 90 days straight. I helped her out on like different topics like love and equanimity and friendship. And she had all these different topics and she, knew that I'm not really, shy, I guess. So I helped her get over her barrier. So I did that live, but I never really went live on my own. And then there was Meditate for the Earth Day, and I got my Tibetan singing bowl, and all of a sudden 20, 30, 40 people showed up on my Facebook, and they're like, this is great. I'm bringing my bowl, and I'm talking to people, and I'm interacting, and they're like, you have to come back tomorrow. You have to come back tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So I went live the next day, and then I don't know if it was the next day, but what I started off with was I put on some like techno music or some high energy music, and then I just went and started off dancing, and I was just dancing in front of the camera, in front of everybody, in front of the world. And then after about like first it started off with 15 minutes of dancing, and then it gradually increased as I got into better shape of dancing every single day. I went live 7 days a week for 2 to 4 hours a night. And after about a few days of going live every day, because people were like, this is great. This is a nice, safe space for people to come into. Not talking about like the cold that's happening, not talking about anything politics. It was just a nice, happy place. So I danced for a bit, and then I slowed it down, put on a guided meditation, rang my Tibetan singing bowl, played some healing frequencies. I played my bongo drum. I was just entertaining people while they wanted the world in fear. We felt like we should be, bringing out the love. And so we ended up asking everybody what we should name the group, and we called it the High Vibe Love Tribe, where we're high vibration, we're all about love. And it was just a place, a safe place. You couldn't talk about the cold, you couldn't talk about the government, politics, nothing. It was just a place of love and coming together so people could research all day long what's happening in the world, and then they could come and just relax and be with other people. Well, it got so busy and popular. There was 3,000 live views per night. Like there was like I couldn't believe how many people were
Wow.
like watching me like dance. I was like and
Crazy.
meditate, and it was crazy. And I think the most we had, I think it was 3,400 live viewers at one time, um after the show was done. And so I was like pretty amazed that people needed something like that, needed a safe space when they wanted the world in fear. And then I was asked to host this truth or telethon. And I said, well, I'm not really, doing too much of that, but I'm up for anybody becoming awake and aware. I've been doing this a long time. Anything you need. They wanted me to host it and MC it, and, just kind of be the face of it, because I had like a large kind of following of people who were watching what I was doing. And they asked me to do that. And I said, sure, I'll do anything you need. Then I think it was like 13 days before it was supposed to put on, one of the people that were helping to put it on, it was somebody else's idea, but I think she was helping, and she just said, look, we're not doing it. She called me bawling her eyes out. She's like, they want to sell products and everybody split up, and I can't believe we're not going to do this. And I said, you know what? Me and you will put this thing on. So 13 days before where this event was supposed to happen, we had nothing. And while there was me on the phone and calling people and figuring things out, the next day she had found somebody that was going to do the StreamYard. I didn't even know what StreamYard was. He was going to do the StreamYard and the back end. And in 13 days, we put on our first Truth Telethon. Well, we had 26 truthers back to
Wow.
back to back speaking. And I was the host, the MC. I would introduce people. Some people wanted just a monologue, so I'd introduce them. Some people wanted a dialogue, so I'd converse with them. Some people didn't show up, so I had to just speak for the whole half an hour, and didn't even know I was had to speak. But because I was awake and aware for such a long time, it was just free flowing to be able to talk
Mm.
about things. And and I found that I worked really good under pressure. Sometimes people would show up, I'm trying to get backups in behind the scenes, and it was just kind of wild and chaotic. But I kind of thrive under pressure, and I do really well that way. So I people were saying, Jesse, you found your calling, you found your calling. And then we had a second truth telethon where that lady who asked me to help her, she kind of flipped out. And then the third one, they were selling products and all this, and we just kind of fell off from each other. And then I had known all these people, and I talked to my girlfriend, and I said, well, why don't we just like start interviewing these people and just seeing having conversations about what's going on. And we started, I think, on February. The end of February will be 4 years, so it hasn't been quite 4 years yet, but it'll be the end of February 2021, is when we did, I think, our first one. And then we just I started asking people. So our very first one, I believe, was Hannah Maria, who we just had back for the second time. She's an activist out of Denmark, and she was living in Spain. And then we had this is right at the beginning. And then we had John Paul Rice, who's an actor from Hollywood. He's created lots of movies about, making people aware of abuse and child trafficking. And then we had Sasha Stone, who we had on the True Tale. And Lee Camp we never had, but I just reached out to him. I said, hey, and I've watched him for years, and he had hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views. And I just reached out to him. I said, hey, I just started this show. Would you like to be a guest? He's like, sure. I'm like, really? I was like, I couldn't believe it. And every person I asked just said okay. And I was like, by show number 15, we had David Icke. David Icke was our 15th interview. I asked their camp and he just said yes. And it was really like, strange how everybody just seemed to say yes to come and talk to me on the show. And we started on one show on a Thursday, then two shows on a Thursday, then three shows back to back to back on a Thursday. Then because we started getting more and more interest, then one on Wednesday, then two on Wednesday. So we had three on Thursday, two on Wednesday, one on Tuesday, one on Monday. And then, so after a few years, we just decided like, well, we'll try to do one show a day. Because, sitting for like 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, sometimes when you're doing three shows back to back was a little bit tough, but
It's tough,
that's
yeah.
yeah, so but that's how we got, started. And I was going to do a business with a friend of mine years before, and we were going to call it the Missing Link. And so when this came up, I was like, what do you think, Angeline? I'm like, the missing link, because we're looking for missing links about the person or the world around us that they want to share. And it just kind of worked out perfect. So we became the Missing Link Live, because all of our interviews are live. And that's how we started our show.
Well, I mean, I have watched quite a few shows, and you definitely have a lot of uh, interesting guests that really have a lot to say. But you're also a really good listener. I mean, you add, but you listen very well. Like, I mean, I think that's why you're doing so well. And I'm really glad that you've got 11,000. That's awesome. 11,700 followers on Rumble. That's
Subscribers.
just fantastic.
Yeah, we like to say
You know,
subscribers. I don't like the followers so much, but we lost
yeah.
22,000 subscribers on YouTube in our seventh channel. We're on our eighth channel on YouTube. We've got about 30,000 on Facebook. We've got like almost 20,000 on our Facebook. And this is the Jesse Hal with 9.5 thousand subscribers. And then
Hmm.
we've got like almost 20,000 on our Facebook, the Missing Link Live Facebook profile,
Well,
Facebook page.
yeah, and you says the High Vibe Love Tribe. You can support them at PayPal. There's a link right there, and it shows you studied at Mount Royal University. Is that in Calgary as well?
Yeah.
But I found both you and Angeline are both like over the target. Like, you have discernment, you have wisdom, and especially about the creator. And I just love both of your. I've watched both of your YouTubes, Rumble, and I've seen your speech. You did a speech at a rally, I saw, and the speech was great. So I think I'm the same where I work. I surprise myself under pressure. And I mean, I'm humbled that you came on my show, because I just have a little show. I only do one show a week. I'm not what would you call ambitious. I try to focus on the truth, and that's exactly what you're doing as well. And you're an absolutist, so you don't care if you lose your channel. You want to hear what people have to say, and that open-mindedness is, I think, a part of your success. And the reason I watch your shows too, because you do have a lot of interesting guests. Boyd, what was one of your last guests
Boyd,
that you had? Fascinating. The guy has a lot of information that most people don't know. And that's the beauty of your show, is you're getting insight from the inside a lot. Where the general public just don't know. And you show that you care about people just by wanting to expose the information. And I think we're kind of like on the same wavelength. We both kind of want the same thing. We care about our fellow man, and we've seen what's been done to them, and we're trying to be proactive without going to jail. So I appreciate that about you and Angeline. I think you both make a great couple, and I'm glad that you found each other. Um,
Thank you. Love you, Angeline. If you're listening or going to see this on replay, I know that I'll make her smile just to have me share that.
yeah, well, I've never seen eyes like hers. She has like a black rim around the blue eyes. I've never seen eyes like that. They're incredible. But I
I have
think
a
you're both.
friend. I have
Go
a
ahead.
friend that thinks she's from Gael or something. He was saying Yael, some kind of star system or something. That's where he thinks that she's from.
Well, she's definitely unique, and she almost had me cheering up there, hearing her story. It's a sad story, and I think it takes a lot to openly talk about things that are hurtful. But it also shows strength that as surviving. And I think I expect a lot more interesting guests on your show. And so, when you find a guest, though, is there a criteria you're looking for? Like, is there
No,
anything that you're no, not at all, eh?
no, we
Just
interview anybody and everybody. For the first year or maybe even 2 years, I just emailed everybody. So if someone sent me a video, and I would be, oh, cool, let's see if they can find the contact information. I'd email them an invite. So I sent out a probably 2,000 emails, invites to anybody and everybody. But for the last 2 years, I don't reach out to too many people unless somebody says, hey, you should interview this person, or hey, can I come on your show? So it's just whatever God provides, whoever comes into my world, however, I just kind of, I feel like I'm one of God's soldiers, and I'm just, presented with people that, I feel that their story needs to be shared. And if someone reaches out to me, we're booked right now until I think the middle of March. We're usually booked 2 or 3 months in advance to get on our show. So I've got about 60 people right now booked to be on our show. So it's just crazy how, you build it and they will come. And we created the show, and now, we don't seem like, sometimes I'm like, what happens if we run out of guests? But that hasn't happened in 4 years, and we're always 2 to 3 months in advance to get on our show. So I just like Kirk, he's in the comments there. He's like, you should interview this person, or you should interview this person. And I've been sharing his story, and he was supposed to
yeah,
come on Wednesday. He was supposed to, I think Tuesday, he was supposed to have another interview with us, but he had someone else that he said, and he's like, oh, can you put her on? So she filled his spot, right? Because otherwise she'd have to be, 2 months down the road or whatever. So it's just kind of one of those things. And if I think the person needs their story, we'll have two in a day or three in a day, or we'll do a Saturday or Sunday. I'm trying not to do weekends, but we have one. We're supposed to have one last Saturday, but the last three shows they canceled. So one guy never gave us the information, and he said he would. There was a doctor on Friday that they said they needed to reschedule, and then Robert Brame, the forensic arborist who talks about the fires, he had to cancel. So our last three shows, we didn't have one on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but we were booked, and I just didn't book
mm,
anyone else, at that time. But and we don't have one show on tomorrow, so this is kind of a nice little break, I guess, to say for us, because we're doing so many shows. But we do have one of Kirk's people that he wanted us to interview. So it's just kind of one of those things, when someone comes place, you should interview this person, and they need to come on at this time. So I don't mind adding people in and doing more
yeah.
in one time if I really feel that their story needs to be heard sooner than later. Then I'll find time to fit them in our busy schedule.
Yes, this is the person I actually turned down, and you interviewed them, and I thought, well, that's amazing, because I try my criteria is a little different. I'm more of a looking to expose things that are important to me personally. Uh, A lot of it's about God, and things that were said, and so I talk about a lot of different things, but things that I really feel compelled. And shows just happen, like this show just happened, and I thought it was great because I feel like we're brothers. I feel like we're on the same page. And Kirk is very proactive with me as well. Like he'll bring guests to my attention, and sometimes I turn it down because it just doesn't seem to go. It's not my area. Like family court issues is really not the show. What the show is about. It's more about exposing things, lies, and you're kind of doing the same thing. You know and I think you're just more of an absolutist, where I do have a specific um,
Target.
criteria. Yeah. So I'm going to be on your show next month, February 19th, which is going to be awesome, and I look forward to that as well. And but we could talk about what your plans are for the future. Are you going to continue the missing link? Is there any branching off that's happening with the musically and
Not
dancing?
not sure exactly where our target was to hit 1,000 interviews. We're at like
Yeah,
965, so we're close
yeah,
to hitting 1,000. I'm
very,
not sure what we're gonna do, where we're gonna go from here. We just know we feel like God wants us to be doing this, so we're doing
yeah,
this.
I agree.
Um, you know, we're exposing everything through child trafficking to, CPS, people taking their kids taken away, and anything and everything. If people have a story to share, I just want to be like a real kind of journalist and share that story to make people aware of what's happening. And
Mhm.
we also interview people on every side of the fence. So some people think that Trump is, the savior, that he's going to fix everything, that everything is going to change for the better. And some people think he's the Antichrist. And so I'll interview people that are super pro for Trump. And then I'll interview people who feel he's a Jesuit and he's just a Pied Piper coming in to do it. And there's a lot of people that love Trump that don't like when I interview people, and we lose people because of that. But I'm not one of those people that are just want to share one side of the fence. Like, we could get a lot more people watching and a lot more subscribers if I just was, a pro Trump train and didn't interview anybody that was against. But that's, I don't think, not what real journalism is. And until I know in my heart that he's not, the enemy, then I will be, entertaining anyone who's sharing information that may be exposing that he may be the enemy. Because, I don't know. I don't know them. I don't know any of them personally. I don't know where their hearts lie. I've never had a conversation with him personally
Mhm.
myself. All I just hear is what people say. But there's a lot of people that are repeaters out there that will see a video or hear somebody talk, and then they'll repeat it like the truth, and they're bearing false witness. And there's too much liars, there's too much false witness. If you don't have a true testimony to somebody or something, then you should probably keep your trap shut when it comes to that person. Don't be spreading hate towards other people, because unless you have a testimony, then you're actually bearing false witness, whether it's true or not, because you don't have firsthand knowledge of it. You just heard somewhere or saw a really good video, or just, I think that's the case. But that's how we're in this mess, is because too many people are lying to themselves and others, and then we can't really get to the truth because there's so much lies being spread everywhere. And I think that's one of our biggest issues that we're facing, is the amount of people that are spreading lies as truth.
Yeah, and when it comes to Trump, it's kind of complicated because he's kind of been groomed into our life. The apprentice. Um, but being the host of the Truth Table, I mean, I look at this. In 1983, he built the Trump Tower, and and it's basically almost like a spell, because there's Let's see if I can find a better picture here. On the side of the building, I don't know if you can see this here.
So
I think
there's
I'm
the
sharing.
upside down triangle with trees, and there's 666.
Yes,
There's six trees on
yes,
six sides, or three
yes.
sides, six trees on an upside down triangle. So does that have symbolism to something dark and demonic, or is that just what his architect suggested? And he just thought that was great, not knowing that it actually maybe has a darker connotation. Again, we can
Mhm.
assume, or or we could just take it as what it is. But too many people see things like that and automatically
Yep.
paint it as a dark picture, but it may have been something that was done unknowingly, that it had a 666 connotation, or somebody else was brought into his life that
Yeah.
actually did that, and it wasn't his inspiration that made that. Again, people paint that as an absolute when we can't, without actually knowing what intent was behind it.
Yeah, but it was in 1983. He was in his prime. It was 33 years before he became president in 2016. I don't know if that. I don't think he's a Freemason, but I think he was given the masters. The upside down triangle is power over you, and the building with the seven hills. If you can see, there's seven bumps there, seven parts poking out. So if you look down from the top, it's seven hills and the pyramid. From the top down, you would see the pyramid upright. But most of his interviews, he's has his fingers doing this exact thing, the upside down triangle. So I'm pretty sure he is aware of it. Now, see the Pied Piper? I, the man of peace. Yeah, I think so. I think he said it himself. I'm the chosen one. He knows he's the chosen one. Um, I taught myself to love my enemy, and the best way to practice that is in front of the mirror. That's the best way to practice because we're not our own personal best friends. We're hardest on ourselves. But I think I like Trump. I like his personality. I like his strength. He's a power to be reckoned with. He's dealt with New York construction workers and mafia, you know, all through his life. So he's a tough guy. Um, but he's also a builder. He's like Cyprus. He can, build a temple very quickly, the third temple in Jerusalem. So I think it's all biblically a part of it. I think he's a part of it. I don't. I don't see him as enemy because I know, and even in tribulations, it's going to be good for 3.5 years. And I think during those 3.5 years, they're going to stop chemtrailing. They're going to stop putting poison in the food with JFK Jr. They're going to shrink the government, but they're also fulfilling the Georgia Guidestones by getting rid of useless laws. And, uh, you know, the nefarious part is how the military is involved with the mRNA and what's in it and the 5G and what it does. There's so many different pieces to this, and he can't be naive. He must know, you know. And I listen to what he says, and he says, "I'm the chosen one." He believes that. He really does. And his building was made as like a spell, an invocation, a perpetual invocation of power, and it worked. He's going to be the most powerful man in the world. So the invocation was successful. He's the guy. He's the guy. And having Elon Musk in his administration, when his uncle, was it George? I think it was John George Trump,
John.
who got all of Tesla's data. Is So there's a lot of things going on there that just the Tesla truck, you know, burning in front of the Trump Tower. I mean, there's so many symbolic things going on. I mean, tomorrow, what do you think about tomorrow? Is it going to be an assassination or an inauguration? Is he going to get a mortal wound and come back to life? You
Well,
know?
in the conspiracy world channels is that he's going to be the 19th president of the United States, because ever since 1776, the United States has been a corporation. So some people believe that he's not going to accept the inauguration because that's the corporation of the United States, and he's going to get people to vote for Nasara Jasara, and like this is the underground Q kind of
Mm,
channels that people are talking about, that he's not actually going to accept this presidency because it's a president of the corporation, which is now defunct. Now, whether or not that's actually, true, or that's going to happen, that's what's spiraling. Again, I interview everybody from every side, and some of those people believe that he's not even going to accept the presidency because it's the corporation and not of, and then he's actually wants people to actually vote for him to be the actual president, the 17th or 19th president of the United States, not the
hmm.
47th or whatever he's supposed to be. So those are some of the rumblings that I've been hearing as well.
Well, yeah, it's going to be an interesting day. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to sleep tonight. But I try to be positive, but I do look forward to see what they do because of JFK, especially with the food and what he's doing is going to expose these companies, and they're going to have to stop poisoning the food, especially children's cereal. I mean, nobody in their right mind would put poison at their dinner table. When they're making no chef will put poison. He wants the best quality ingredients, and I would like to see us go back to that and have healthy food again. So there are good and
100%.
bad.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Because most of the food is poison.
but yeah, Robert. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Cleo. Can't wait for Robert. Yeah, me too. Because he said a lot of things that really got my attention, and that family has suffered quite a bit, quite a loss. But he's talking about leaving the WHO. He's talking about getting rid of the IRS. My God, I mean, he's just asking to be JFK. Because this, you can't go up against these entities like the CIA, for example. And it just seems like APAC is running the Senate. They own all of them. So God help them, God protect them. That's all we can do is just pray that they mean what they say and they do what they say, because it could be a renaissance, and
He
I think
could be
we're due. I
known
think.
Yeah, he could be known as the greatest leader that's ever lived if he does the right thing. And he has that power to do the right thing. And he could be known as the most, greatest leader of any country in history. But will he do the right thing, or will he just follow, suit? Is he just a public pawn in the game? And everybody thinks that he has the power that he does when there's, the puppet masters are just pulling the strings. Nobody knows who the most powerful people on earth are, or most people don't. And they think that these people like Musk and Trump, and because they're very powerful, but they're only public figures in the world stage, and there's people that can have them killed at any time. There's people that are pulling the strings. There are people that have no conscience, that have no problem eliminating anybody that's a threat to their plan. And that's why anybody with actually direct evidence to foil the plan, they're the ones who are, the ones that are target. People that are in the conspiracy world that are just speculating on things, they don't really care about that unless you get large followings of millions of people. Then you could maybe pose as a threat. But ones that actually have direct evidence to these people, those are the ones whose lives are, at in jeopardy for trying to expose some of this stuff with actual direct evidence.
Hmm. Well, I know the banks bailed him out a few times. They believed in him and allowed him, to keep going. So I think he's beholden to Zionist Israel or the Rothschilds. And from his own lips, he said, he wants Israel to finish the job, with Gaza. So that concerns me a lot. I mean, for anyone that goes against Israel is called anti-Semitic, but people in Gaza are Semitic. So
It's
carpet
crazy.
bombing Gaza is an act that is anti-Semitic. So that's
Hmm.
projection like I've never seen before. I mean, people aren't that stupid. We know, you know, it's easy to find out. I've interviewed a guy, journalist, Canadian journalist in in Gaza, and they're Semitic people. I mean, it goes from the Horn of Africa. I mean, it's just linguistics. It's language. It's not Jew. Like I could become a Jew. I can, anyone can become a Jew, but Semitic is just like English. We speak English, and that's our language. And Semitic is the same thing. It's not a religion. It's so yeah. I don't like mind games, and especially Netanyahu or even Trump. I don't like him saying finish the job. I think whoa, come on, Trump. Thou shalt not kill, buddy. Don't call yourself a Christian and be okay with the death penalty. And I messaged Trump. I'm not afraid. I say, Trump, you can't say you're a Christian and then say you're for the death penalty. You just can't do it. They don't work together. They're not, compatible. So you have to either be one thing or not. But so that tells me he lies. So this is the man of peace. He's going to lie. He's going to fool the world. He's going to merge. He's going to create the one world government. And he's going to be the top guy. He's the chosen one. And he's going to do it by boasting, by making false promises. He's going to seduce all the countries to join in his new world. But he's doing it for the Rothschilds. So he must be owned by them, He's a rich man, but he knows where his, bread and butter come from. So that's a sad part of what I think, my personal, assumptions. But I am going by what he says because I think that matters.
You'll
You
know
can't
them
get
by their
away with it.
fruits.
Yes, yes. When you speak the words, you speak the words. I studied the Bible and I know it says thou shalt not kill. So don't do it.
Well,
Don't
same
be
with
for it.
RFK. Same with
Yeah.
RFK. He was for, eliminating the people in, Palestine and stuff. So that was, hard for me to see. But for this one world government, when we interviewed Carrie Cassidy, I think she, spelled it out is
Mm.
there's going to be an alien invasion, whether it's real or fake. Even Dr. Stephen Greer is talking about this fake alien invasion or alien invasion
Yep.
that Carrie Cassidy said that we're going to need to align the world government in order to fight off this alien threat. And so she thinks she was actually for one world government, this
Hmm.
government, because it's going to unify the people against this, existential alien threat. So I've already seen now people talking the workings of people wanting this world government to protect us, but you don't need a government to protect you. That's false. You need you to protect yourself and your family. Nobody can protect you better than you can protect yourself.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, they have the technology with Project Bluebeam, where they can fake an alien invasion, but they also have the technology with ELF waves. And I've seen research where they talked into one of their soldiers' heads. So he thought someone was speaking to him, and it was from a long, far away. It was remote. So they
Voice to
can,
spell.
yeah, yeah. So the ELF waves can be used. The 5G can be used to control the emotions of everyone that got in the needle. That's a part of the weapon is they can make you happy and own nothing. And they told us the truth right up front. That's an emotion. They're saying you will be happy. They're not saying you might be happy. They say you will. So they're telling us the, what they can do against your will. So they're telling us that you will be happy. And that's how they talk to us, you know. They talk to us subliminally. They tell us the truth right in it. You know what I mean? They tell us the truth to our face, and we don't. Most people don't even see it. But
Well,
that's one of the things that they can do. If you look at the church scene in the Kingsman, the church fight scene, it's the same kind of technology. They're using frequencies from people's phones. You know, the bad guy gave everyone free internet. You know, like Starlink, and they sent signals to their phone. They all killed each other. Everyone in the church just went mad and started killing each other. So they show us things in movies as well as subliminally telling us the truth. Project Bluebeam, as far as I know, they're going to fake aliens, but the real weapons are going to be ours using stealth jets and stuff like that. So they won't be seen. It'll appear to be from. I mean, this could happen. This might be stopped, but I mean, this goes to von Braun there decades ago. I can't remember his full name, but you know who I mean. Eh?
Werner von Braun, the Nazi guy that he was
Yeah,
the head of NASA.
yeah, Werner. That's it. That's it. Yeah, but he was one of the paper clip guys, and he says that's the final stage. So this is the end of the agenda. So we're here before the final thing. You know, will Trump stop it, or is he a part of it? We'll see. He may get some kind of warp speed going, or and completely trap the world. So he has the potential to fool the world. He does exaggerate. He will lie because he'll say he's a Christian, but then be up for the death penalty, and he's okay with people in Gaza being killed. So he's not exactly what we think he is. And I'm not trying to be against Trump either, because I can love my enemy, and that takes away their power over me. So I don't have fear. It takes away the fear. That's why I message Trump, because I'm not afraid of him. I understand he has a role, and I understand that at the end of all of this, we're going to be free, and we're going to have our renaissance. And it was stolen from us. Like, if you look at this picture of the buildings we have now compared to 500 years ago, that's who we are. The bottom one is what was stolen from us. The artists, the geniuses, the most amazing painters and people, crafters that put love into their art. That was stolen from us. But I believe that's all coming back to us. I honestly believe we're going to get it back, and we're going to have each other on the way. I have you, you have me, we have our friends, our family, and that's the beauty of what we're going through, is that we're not alone.
And God and his angels are always with us as well. So if you truly
Yes.
believe, if you truly know the power of our creator, then you know that you are not alone, and that, the creator can work magic. God can work magic on anybody's heart at any time. He can put that love and the light into Trump's heart and do the right thing. So, at any
Mm-hmm.
time, the world can get, to a better place. But when you were talking earlier about them having to tell us, part of their Luciferian doctrine is they have to tell us what they're going to do to us before they do it to us, in order to absolve them of universal or karmic liability, so they think. And that's kind of what they tell themselves and their minions, is that, oh no, we're just going to tell them, and people are willfully going to walk over that cliff. And if they willfully walk over the cliff, if they willfully inject that thing in the arm, then they think that they're not liable for those deeds, because they were never forced to do it. And
Right.
that's where, that's why you get people that are loyal to these people, because they think that, God is not going to, have look at them unfavorably because people did it to themselves opposed to them actually doing it to them. So that's kind of the battle. But I feel that as long as there's good people here, as long as there's love here, as long as there's light here, then you know the God will be, here to protect, all of us through whatever this craziness is. So I don't live my life in fear. I never really have. And so that's hence why I guess I'm able to do what I'm doing and put a
Hmm.
target on myself, because I just, walk through the valley of shadow of death and I fear no evil.
For indeed, the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom of God does not come with observation. For indeed, the kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17, 20, 21. It's one of my go tos because, a lot of people don't know that. They just don't know. So that's, I think I've talked about this on multiple shows because I think it's so important that you're not alone. That's why there's footprints in the sand when you've fallen, and there's footprints on the sand because God is carrying us. I think that's beautiful. A beautiful poem and uh, very meaningful. Oh, Cleo, amen. God, keep blessing on your people. Yeah, it's all about the truth, and I every Thursday I have a Zoom meeting with ministers and priests and from different religious backgrounds, and we discuss. And I often have conflicts with them because I think it's so important that they have all these congregations that they're teaching. Once you know the truth, you got to stop teaching a lie. You've got to inform your congregation. You have to apologize. You have to be meek and humble, and say, I made a mistake, an error in judgment. And that's why I joined that group, not to cause conflict, but because I care about their congregations. You know, just like I care about people who listen to your show and people who watch my show. So I try to be as clear as possible. I try to show where the information is in this. If I'm quoting a scripture, I want to show the scripture so they can look it up and verify that this is about the truth and you're about the truth. And that's why I admire your show. I think you've gone all out, and I respect that you're not afraid, even though YouTube has shut you down 7 times. It tells me you're right over the target. If they shut you down, you said the truth.
Well, when I told you about that first truth telethon that we had?
Yep.
5 days, so 13 days before the Truth Telethon is where I got involved and said, I'm all in, let's do this Truth Telethon. 5 days before the Truth Telethon, they deleted my 13-year Facebook account with no ability to appeal. It says, oh, if you want to appeal it, press this button. And I pressed it and it just looped and looped and looped. They deleted my entire Facebook, all my pictures, everything I had. It was kind of my library and all my conversations, all my connections, all my traveling that I did through all over the world. I connected with all kinds of people. Everything gone in 2020, 5 days before my first Truth Telethon, because obviously, they obviously got wind of it or whatever it was and they didn't want to do it, and we ended up doing it anyways. And it was, probably we would have reached a lot more people if they didn't shut down my account. But we just move forward. Like, they can do what they want to me. They could, shadow ban me. They can do this, they can do that, and I won't ever stop. Right? I've always, felt that, we can actually win this fight, as crazy as that is, and as much as people think it's not possible and the enemy is too great. I just feel the power and the love of God, and that just keeps me going and knowing that with God on our side, we cannot lose.
Yeah, I agree that, yeah, the God within us is way more powerful. But you see, the thing is, I think a lot of people just see the devil as the enemy. I don't think they understand his purpose because he doesn't think we're worthy. He worships God. So he's like a good Christian, you know. He goes to church, he believes in God, he loves God. So he's really misunderstood. He's definitely our, you know, our accuser. He's there to accuse us, like in Job. So I wouldn't say he's our friend, but he's the God of this world. Only the Creator can appoint someone to be the God over us. So what he is totally misunderstood, I think. That's how the only way to get to that is to loving your enemy. So if I saw him as my enemy, it's easier for me to try to understand what his role is, what his purpose is. And to me, he's like the crown attorney trying to get you life in prison because he doesn't think we qualify. He doesn't think we're good enough for his God, you know, for our God. So I can relate to him in that sense. But Jesus called him the God of this world, and that's what he is. So we have to respect that. That's his role. Like, we don't have, what we can't do is worship him. We don't want to worship him, but we want to respect God's decision to make him the God of this world. You know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense, yes.
It's just hard for a lot of people to understand that you know he could be dethroned anytime. God can, you know, strip him away of his title. So yeah, I see. I like to go deep, and that's what I love about your show is that you're willing to go deep too. And I really, like I said, I really see us as on the same page, over the target, and our target is the same: understanding the Creator as much as we can get, as much information as we can get, and share it. And that's what I do. And that's, you know, I love that about your show is that you do the same thing. So I'm really thrilled that you're here on the
Well,
Truth
you've
Table.
earned it, and you've come to our show. I didn't know who you were. You came in our comments, and you've said a lot of really intelligent things. And, just you being you and sharing your knowledge to our community of people that, kind of congregate together when we come to our shows. We've been building up more and more subscribers and friends and people that
Mhm.
come and hang out. And you've actually, when I seen the intelligence you have and your different way of thinking than a lot of people that are scripturally based, I thought, yeah, I think I'd love to have you on our show just so we can expand on that. When you asked me, not a lot of people, I've been asked quite a few, but not a lot of people follow through, especially people with larger audiences. Yeah, we'll bring you on our show, and then just never ask again, right? And it's just
Mhm.
strange. So I feel, humbled and honored when people do ask me. So when you ask me to come on your show, it doesn't matter if you've got, 10 subscribers or a million subscribers. I like people. I genuinely like people. And when I find people are very intelligent and kind of on the same page, I don't mind spending some time with them.
Mhm. Well, I almost prefer being a smaller show because I think if I had too much attention, that I would be targeted. So I feel safe in that. I also trust that our creator will get the right people to hear it, the right show. I really believe that. I believe God works that way. And I like to think so anyway, that the right people will see this show, you know, and get what God wants them to get, whatever information that is. But yeah, I do go right outside the box with Genesis. I was born Catholic. Were you raised Catholic or?
I was born into Catholicism, Catholic. I was
Mhm,
baptized, but
mhm,
my parents never took me to church, so I didn't go to First Communion. I never went to a Bible study. I never, was taught any of that. We would go once in a while on a Christmas or an Easter. I probably, have less toes and fingers on my hands the times that I've actually been in a church.
Mm-hmm.
But I met a girl when I was probably, I don't know, 17 or 18, who was started bringing me to church, and I started learning, and then I started reading the Bible, and I started to learn that on my own. It wasn't one of those things that were forced on me as a child. I actually searched out the truth, and so it's a little bit different than someone that's been programmed into certain religions. And like in school, I never paid attention. I was always kind of the class clown, kind of getting into trouble. I was bullied. I was like, I didn't really like school. And so I never got the school indoctrination. I didn't get the religious indoctrination. I think that's what God wanted for me. So that way I
Mm-hmm.
could have an open mind to things, that I'm not, already programmed in a certain, way. And I was able to discern through the bullshit, because so many people think that their way is the truth, when that it's there's so much more to the truth than what people can't see beyond their programming.
Yeah, most religions are the same that way. They deter you. They tell you not to look there. That's evil, and that's evil. And like my father was a pastor, and he said, that Islam is they pray to a rock. But I read the Quran, and I know that's not true. That's just where Abraham, a place where Abraham walked, and they're kind of, uh, you know, uh, respecting the geographical area, really. But with the Quran, I learned a word that I've never heard before: circumambulate. I'll never forget the word because it's just such a strange word. Circumambulate. That's a pretty intelligent word to use in the Quran, but it means when they walk around the stone, they call it circumambulating.
Hmm.
So now we all have a new word. But what I found is the more I read, because I read into Hinduism, the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Sumerian tablets, and on and on and on and on. I just everything I could find basically. And my conclusion really is that when the Tower of Babel fell, all the languages were divided because we all used to speak the same language. So when all the languages were separated, I believe the knowledge of the Creator was also divided. Because what I found is there's information missing. Like the Quran says that Jesus could speak as a baby in a cradle, and they quote him, whereas the Bible doesn't tell you that. You know, the Gita tells us more about the Creator than any of the other books. So they all are like a puzzle, like a work of art that has pieces missing, and that's what I found. It expanded my understanding of what God was like. The Gita told me God, one material form of God is water. So that basically brings the Bible into it when it says God is within us. Well, we're mostly water, so that confirms that statement. So you see how they work together and how they answer the questions. Like the devil in the Bible is a fallen angel, whereas in the Quran, he's not an angel; he's a jinn, like Aladdin's genie in a bottle. He can change his shape, change his form, and that is confirmed in the Bible, where he says the devil can appear like an angel of light, so he can change his form. So boom, confirmed again. But it also says that he's a jinn made from smokeless fire. So fire would be his natural habitat. So the lake of fire would be his home. That he would be comfortable there. He would have his feet up and have his cigar. so it just all the different books kind of brought it all together for me. It made more sense of it all. But the Gita is like really the beautiful thing, how Earth is one material form, light, and we have light inside of us. We can't see it, but with the firefly, we can. We can see the pulsing light that we don't see in ourselves. If we could see the light pulsing inside of us, everything would be different. If our bodies were transparent, life would be totally different because we would see it. So we have an example, at least with the firefly, which unfortunately was used in the mRNA. The light of the firefly, light of the beast, the mark of the beast. So that luciferase they tried to hide for 75 years, but the court said no. And because of the biblical implications, no kidding. So we have our mark. We're post-event, and I think we're looking at the last president, the last pope. There's one more pope is going to be possessed by the devil. Peter the Roman, Nostradamus, the last pope, the 112th pope. So we've got that. So there's going to be another pope, and he's going to be the devil. He's going to be possessed by the devil. So this is what we have to look forward to. Hopefully not before February 19th, before I'm on your show. Or we have a whole different show, wouldn't we? Sorry for
100%.
rambling on.
No, all good. And, that's if that things they do come true, because again, our creator is omnipotent and can change the course of history and can change prophecy at any time. Just because this stuff was prophesized doesn't mean that at any time that God can't work miracles in people's hearts, and we can
Exactly.
actually come back
Yeah.
into balance like we're supposed to be here. So I never ever discount that. Some people say it has to happen, otherwise God's a liar, and like they want the destruction, they want the tribulation. It's like they're helping to manifest this stuff into happening into existence because they think that God wanted this. But I don't think God ever wanted any of this darkness. I think God wants people to love each other and come back together and work together and build harmony and stop poisoning this earth and start taking care of the animals, start taking care of the earth, start taking care of each other. I think that's what God truly wants. He doesn't
Yeah.
want the devil to put darkness into everybody's heart and people have to suffer, and war and pestilence and all these type of things, that a meteor's got to come and kill half of the ocean's population. And I don't think God wants any of that stuff to happen, but I think because people feel that it has to happen, they're helping it to put into existence. And I think that's the opposite of God, what God would truly want for all of us.
I wouldn't even blame the devil. I would blame evil people like Bill Gates, the Rothschilds. See, the Rothschilds control the U.S. military. They control the Vatican. And the Rothschilds, funded both sides of each war. So all their wealth is all based on, it has blood on them. So it's really bad people. Now, they may worship the devil. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend worshiping anyone but the creator. And I use the word creator just not to not confuse the prayer. I like to pray effectively, so I always say creator. That way, that there's no. I don't
Which
pray to
God? Which
Mary.
God? What God are you praying to? And like, it's
Yeah, because I know that like it's forbidden to say the name of God. So since it's forbidden, we have to use correct grammar. We have to say the creator, creator of all things, the air. That's the other thing God is: air, ether, water, earth, light, ego, which I was surprised. The ego is one of them, and false ego. But yeah, the devil's role is complicated. I just think it's good. We both met good people and bad people, in our lives. The bullies and the mean people, the mean spirited people on subways and trains. So there are bad people in power, and it's them. There's a spiritual war, but that has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with us. That's them. That's they're on a different level than us. They're in spirit world.
And I
you
don't
know
even think that they're bad people. I just think they're under a spell. And that's the
that's
problem that,
possible.
everybody is born a baby, a child, a beautiful child
Yeah,
of God,
yeah.
right? It's, it's
It is
this
taught.
spell that people are put under, and I think that there's like when I say that there's a yin and there's no yang. Yang was just created to justify shitty behavior. So they've created this false darkness, this thing to justify them doing it. The devil made me do it. No, it was the spell that you're under, thinking that it was someone else when these were all your choices. You're the one who chose to do. We've been given the gift of discernment. We know the difference between right and wrong. And if you're choosing wrong or you're justifying your wrong behavior in any way, that's a spell. And you can wake up from that spell at any time and actually choose goodness and choose the light, choose God any time. So any of these people that have been rooted in darkness, they could be the most, powerful beings of light if they ever chose to,
Yeah,
repent and turn from their evil ways or dark ways. And then they could become the biggest pillars of light and God that the world's ever seen.
yeah, yeah. And the last. I mean, what I've done in my research, I've seen mistranslating deliberately mistranslation of the Bible in Genesis. We can get into that next month, but it's quite possible they're just fulfilling their plan. They they could have made Revelations what it is because they had the technology to pull it off, and they do have the technology. And I know fear is a big tool of theirs, but your analogy is right on. It is like a spell, and they use all the tools in their toolbox. The television, uh, music. They change the frequency of music, so it can no longer be a blessing. That's why my music in the background now. That's all 432. It's all 432 hertz.
Soothing.
It's Yeah. As soon as I found out about it, I changed all my music. I erased everything and started over because I wanted to be a blessing, and I thought it was like a perfect counterattack. Yeah, a perfect way to bless people without them knowing, subliminally blessing them. You know, I don't even like taking credit for that, but it is a part of my show. The music is a part of it. And if I can bless someone, even with just a few moments of music, I want to do it. If it empowered me, it gave me a sense of the power of the creator, something that was taken away from us in the 50s. So my entire life, I've never heard anything but 440 because I wasn't born when they changed it. So our entire lives, we have been manipulated. They use spells. They use the television. Oh, and your better half is here, has arrived. I love you, my handsome Jesse.
I love dancing.
He is pretty handsome. I would say that. He certainly doesn't look over 30. So he's
I don't look.
aging.
I don't look 51.
No, I'm 60. But no, you look like 30, 35. Man, you're aging very well, which is great. Which is great.
I
That
said
that
for many years because I drank pretty heavily from the time that I was maybe 18 to 40. So for about 22 years, and I would say that I preserved myself in alcohol because people would say, "You look so young," and when I'm like, "That's because I'm preserving myself in alcohol." So I said that for many many years because when I was like, 25, I looked like I was 18, right? When I was 30, I looked, like I was 20. When I was 40, I looked like I was 25, and I was just like, yeah, I've been preserving myself in alcohol all these years. So that was kind of my thing that I would say, but it's just, I one of the things I can attribute it to is I've been fasting since I've been 21, and we're part of, our health is the toxic overload that our bodies are feeling with the chemicals in our food, air, and water.
Yeah.
And how to get rid of that stuff is detox, fasting, zeolite, all kinds of different things. But I've gone lots, like I've actually went 16 days with no food. And I was just on the master cleanse for 15 or 14 days. 15th day I just drank pure orange juice, and 16th day was the first time I had food. I just did at the beginning of
Wow.
this year. I did a 2-day dry fast where I've never done a dry fast before. That's no food or water for the first 48 hours or 47 and a half hours I lasted. And then
Wow.
2.5 days of just a water fast. I went 4.5 days of the beginning of this year just to purge out all those toxins and stuff. And part of aging and what it does when you fast, your body has to start eating itself, and it starts eating all the dead, all of the bacterias, all of the dead cells. So it's just like an internal cleaning. And I've
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
fasted 10 times over the years. So maybe it's good genes, maybe it's the fasting, maybe it's the beautiful heart. I have no idea why I'm able to just have this youthful look, but I'm very
Maybe
happy that
maybe it's Angeline.
maybe it's the beautiful Angeline keeping me,
It could be.
young,
It could be.
young at heart.
I fasted this year too as well,
Oh,
and
good for you.
but then I got sick after the fog, and I got really sick. I
Oh
just
no.
coughed, one cough, like just a normal cough, not a heavy cough, and I threw my back out, pulled the muscle, and I was like crippled for like a week. It was
Oh wow.
horrible. It took so long, but this is after my fast, so I think devil was pissed off.
Well, with Angeline, she's got such healing in her hands and in her heart. Like she's a healer. So, like, I had really bad hip problems, and I had a double hip replacement surgery, like 2 years ago. But she would like massage and walk up and down my legs, and every time I have a shoulder or back, she just spends so much time, and she's got such care in her heart that she really, enjoys taking care of me and making me feel better. And like she'll like literally, I'll fall asleep and I'll wake up and she's still massaging me like half an hour later. Like I'll literally like, wake up and she's still massaging me. And like, most people, when someone would fall asleep, I think that they would stop massaging them, but not her. She's just amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad God put you together. I think you're a great match, and you're both like right over the target. And like with me, I think we're all on the same page. Like we all want the same thing. I think, and I think that's why I have taken to both of you really. And she would probably make a great guest as well. Talk about the healing aspect of her journey and that sort of thing. So that's always open. Um, I never know who's gonna really come on next. Um, Actually, next week I've got a guy who just had a baby in the hospital, and he's just going to talk about the protocols in 2025. So that'll be next week, and another good friend of mine. So where do we leave off here? Now you're on X here. Let's just show everybody where you are. So on X, it's the missing link and a J, I believe. Is that a J?
The address, yeah, the missing link J, but it's the missing link live is the, the
The name
thing
of
there.
it.
Yeah, I've been on Twitter since 2009, but I never used it. So I never built up subscribers. And then once we started the show, I'm like, yeah, I got a Twitter account. Let's start, broadcasting on Twitter. And, we've
Mhm.
had a few interviews like with Dr. Judy Mikovits and a few others that have gotten 20, 30,000 views on Twitter, but most of them are only a couple hundred views. We're slowly building up. My hope is to have more subscribers than people that we're subscribed to.
Mhm.
So because I just went off subscribing to like everybody until I couldn't subscribe to anybody
Uh,
anymore. But
I
I don't
am
know
a
if you
little.
know I don't know if you know the wrestler John Cena. He just actually subscribed to our Twitter account. So
Oh yeah.
my stepson, I screenshot it, and I was like, because he was my best friend killed himself while I was living in Cancun, and he asked me if anything ever happened to him to look out for his family. So I helped raise his three kids like my own. And when I moved back from Mexico, and so one of them I met Christian at, he was only 6.5 months old when I met him. Mark died 1 month before his third one was born. So I was like always wearing the snuggly and taking him everywhere. And I took him, John Cena was his favorite wrestler, and we took him to go meet him at the World of Wheels. And I got to like pound John Cena, like, we got the fist bumps. And, so I actually screenshotted it. My toy like, Christian, I'm like, look who just followed me on Twitter. And he's like, oh, my man. And like, he's like, like an adult. And, it's been many years since he lived with me. But thought that was interesting to have John Cena follow me on Twitter.
That's a little bit of a sad story that your friend died, but yeah, I'm glad you were there for his kids, and that we all have, we never know what's going to happen next. Now, I think I showed your Rumble page as well. Lots of videos, lots and lots of really great. I would recommend you guys go and check him out. And there's a girl named Webb. It's George Webb. It just made me think of this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, not Courtney Webb, Whitney Webb.
Whitney. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
she is
and
very.
I've reached out to her a couple times and I've gotten no response.
Yeah, she would be a good guest. Definitely, she has a lot of. But I mean, there's lots of interviews out there, so you can find her and hear what she has to say. But she's right in the dark corners of the world. And I do worry about Elon and Twitter, because this freedom of speech absolutist is still being monitored. They're still like collecting information, finding out who's their friends and who's their foes. So I think it could be used nefariously that way, where they can
It
make
was
a
data
list.
mining. Yeah, it was data mining. So what
Yeah,
they needed to fill all of their artificial intelligence with who is who in the Twitter world. So it was just figuring out who's doing what, and there is a lot of people that are being censored and blocked, and so it's not a free speech platform like everybody's saying it is. Because I've known people that have been blocked and like, have had their accounts deleted
mhm,
on Twitter and stuff. So you're allowed to say things a lot more, but you just be careful what you say. It's just
yeah,
same one of those things. If you're not saying the right things, you can be deleted. And again, so what does that tell us? Is he a free speech advocate, or is he just part of the plan?
yeah. And I mean, his mother is an issue as well. With she's quite an interesting May Musk.
Hmm.
She has a lot of pictures, covering one eye, and so, and then last Halloween he dresses Baphomet. So I mean, that's a problem. This It's not funny. You're a grown man, and you're dressing like a Baphomet. That says things to me. You know what you choose to wear matters, and his mother's history matters too. She raised him, so a lot of. I think he's another problem. I think he with Trump. I think he could be a problem too. He could be the guy who starts Terminator.
Well, it's the technocrats is who's guiding Trump and the administration. Peter Thiel,
Mm,
the PayPal
yeah,
mafia, they're the ones who are now in control of the US government. So the PayPal
yeah,
mafia basically is running things. And whether Trump is, willing or unwilling, unknowing, what's going on, he just may be just a pawn to them. He may think he's doing the right thing, but apparently they put him on the shekel in Israel. And some people think that Trump is the Antichrist, but other people think that Mohammed bin Solomon from the Middle East, he's got all the Germachia 666 mark of the beast numbers. And we have Marco Ponce from Being Justified says that Mohammed bin Solomon is going to be killed and he's going to be brought back to life. And the spirit of Judas is going to be back into Mohammed been Solomon, because he's the actual Antichrist. Like, so, but again, everybody thinks that they know, like he's certain it's him, and other people are certain it's Trump, and other people are, and I ain't certain about anything. I've been researching this stuff for 30 years and I have no clue. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to figure out things, and I want to be as honest with everybody as I can. And if I don't know something, I'm not going to tell you that he is, or this guy's good or he's bad, or, at any time, anybody, like, God can work, miracles in anybody's heart, and they could have done bad things, and now they're on the side of righteousness. They've repented and they've changed their ways, and now
yeah,
they're a pillar of good. And I never want to, put a wall up and think just because someone has a family name or someone did something that they'll never be on the side of good, and that we have to, like, shun them. And, so I never want to be like that, because I think God wants us to have an open heart. And if people are doing good, then we should, know them by their fruits.
yeah. I agree. I like to have an open mind as well, and I'll hear whatever anyone has to say, and I'll look into it too if I can. Like everything I say about Trump. I mean, I looked into his building. I looked into it before I spoke about it, and to me, it's a spell. It's an invocation to perpetual power. So, I mean, he was successful in that spell. He did it. He won over. He won. He just fits perfect because he got sympathy by being shot. He showed his ability to run a business with The Apprentice. He also showed his standards, his working standards, his ethics. He revealed a lot about himself, but what he says means everything to me. If he says, the death penalty, like I said before, that goes against being a Christian. Either you are or you aren't. You can't violate one of the 10 Commandments. It doesn't go. I would never be, no matter how horrible of a crime someone commits, if they're a danger to society, they should be segregated. Simple as that. But make them work. Don't get the taxpayers to pay for their jail time. Let them work. Let them build homes. Let them be segregated in like a open air prison where they can work and be productive with society, but society is protected from them. Same with pedophiles. They should be also segregated so that there's no children around them. Let them do whatever they want in the thing, build homes, utilize their skills, turn, uh, have them building small homes for the homeless. We can utilize without, see, God doesn't want us to judge. So we're not here to judge them, but if they are a danger, then they should be segregated from society. We have to protect our society. They must come first, our children especially. I mean, a lot of the teachers with green hair shouldn't be allowed to teach. They should be segregated from children. They're a danger. They're influencing and teaching things that children don't need to know. They're quite intelligent. Children, before they go to school, like 99% of them are uh, genius level intelligence. And then when they leave school, that all drops down, way down. So
They
that's
were
all
genius
stolen from them.
until they were about 6 or 7 years old, and
Yeah.
that's where the genius, once they start school, is where all of their free thinking comes down. And there was like an army general that said, give me a child between 5 and 7 years old. They give them back to the kid, to the parents at 7, and then they get them back at 12 or 13 because they've already imprinted between 5 and 7. That's where, some of the most important imprinting comes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the first 4 years basically is most important for the parents to be there because that's where they develop who they become. It's all in those first 4 years. So those are the most important years. I would recommend homeschooling, or just don't have children until it's over. 7 years. So we can have 3.5 good years and then 3.5 very bad years. But then it'll be over. Then there will be no more tears, no more death. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not afraid of the tribulation. I look forward to finally ending and our bodies being restored and empowered again. Then we're going to start building cathedrals again, and really utilize what God really gave us that was taken away through the injections, through the education. It's all been stolen from us. Our potential, like, has probably never been realized. Who you could have been, who I could have been, it's all been stolen from us. And now we're at a point, a pivotal moment in history where we're realizing it, and we're sharing that information and empowering our fellow man. I think that's the greatest thing that I've ever done. And and you too, you're doing it as well, and on a very much larger scale. And you get to meet some really fascinating people. And I plan on watching more of your shows too. And you're really good at it. You're a really good listener. And I was like you in the beginning. I really didn't see myself doing this. I I wasn't ambitious for it. I didn't want it. I just wanted to play piano and in the back behind the curtain, at events, and just be unseen. Just I don't know. I like being the background music because that's where I could just leave. Just be spiritual and just give love. In that way. Okay, Cleo has said something. Got my daughter to almost 8 years old before she was taken by family court Judge McPherson over a year ago. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Chloe. Oh, Cleo. Sorry, I got your name wrong there. Yeah, it is terrible. They usually, like in the States, they'll usually give custody to the poor parent because the courts receive money if there's oh my god, what do you call that when they give you money? Alimony, baby support. I don't know. There's a word for it. I can't think of it right now. Child support. Okay. So the court make money off of that, which I don't think it should. But that's why they try to get the parent with the money to pay the child support, and that way it's a win for the court as well. They get a cut, which how corrupt, eh?
Sickening.
Yeah, but if you look at the Georgia Guidestones, it's really they want to get rid of useless laws. Get rid of useless laws, and I think that's what they're doing with wanting to strip away, get rid of useless jobs. In the IRS and FBI. I mean, they have to be careful. The CIA, they're dangerous. They're not our friend. I don't think they're not the friend
No,
of
no,
America.
they're the terrorist organization of the world,
Yeah.
right? And I've
Uh,
even had a colonel who's worked in the Pentagon come on our show and said NATO, which most people think are our allies or is the allies. She said a colonel from that worked in the Pentagon said that NATO is the biggest terrorist organization on earth besides the CIA. And this is like an army colonel or an Air Force colonel that's,
mm,
like was working for the military for 20 plus years and was talking like that. So those are the type of people we like to have on our show that, are got actual real evidence. And she talks about all the CIA. Basically, they're supposed to be an intelligence gathering organization to protect the United States from terrorist attacks or this. They're supposed to be gathering intelligence on other people. But she says they've never given any intelligence to help thwart anything. All they do is overthrow governments. So that's what the CIA is basically out there for, is overthrowing governments and putting their puppet dictators in. So very, very evil organization.
yeah, they were created to get rid of USSR. That was the whole point of it. They got rid of it. That's when it should have got shut down. But over and over and over again. And Israel's a part of it all too. Like they attacked the USS Liberty in the Gulf of Tonkin, which started the Vietnam War. But look what NATO did to Gaddafi. Gaddafi, it was free education, free hydro. If the education wasn't available, they he paid for your trip, out of country, and paid for your education. If you got a child, you got like 15 grand. A new married couple get so much for a car. I mean, he was good to the people. He
He was
he
really good. Same with the medical. So all medical was free in
Yeah,
Libya, and they would pay for any type of operation. And if they couldn't do it in Libya, he'd also pay for you to go to any other country in the world and pay for that operation as well, or
yeah,
that
yeah,
procedure.
yep, yeah. I studied him, and I can't believe NATO went in there and they blew up the side of a prison with Al Qaeda in there, and they let them all out. Then they blew up all his castles, his palaces. Who does that? They destroy the infrastructure, and then his they got him and handed him over to Al Qaeda. It shows the military guy handing him over to the people they broke out of prison, where they tortured him and sodomized him and beat him and finally shot and killed him. What they did to him showed what we're dealing with here with NATO. And now, it's all come out that we're supporting Al Qaeda. We're supporting ISIS. We're the bad guy in Syria right now for Israel. In Iraq, same thing. He was our buddy because he, was fighting Iran, yet we were giving intel to Iran and to Iraq. We were playing both sides of that war.
And
It goes
fund
on and on.
Hamas. They
Yeah,
funded they funded Hamas. Like,
they
it's
created
crazy.
Hamas. Yep, to get rid of the PLO. It's just and it's really the Rothschilds. They're the Zionist, that run it all. They run it all. They run NATO. They run the wars. They run the Vatican. They run the U.S. military. They're Mossad. They used Jeffrey Epstein, P. Diddy, to compromise all the politicians and judges and movie stars. All of them. They got them all on film. And Justin's been there a few times with his wife. So, but they took care of him because he did what they wanted. He handed Canada over to them. So we could be the 51st state, and it's all planned. If you look years back, they had a map that showed us Greenland, Canada, United States, and Mexico all as one
Seven.
section.
They're
Yep.
looking to divide the earth into 7 different
Region.
colonies, or seven
Yeah.
different regions, and
Yep.
Canada, Mexico, all the way down to the Panama Canal is one of the regions. So that's why
Yeah.
there's talk of it. But
And
but
that's what
I
and that's why
yeah
Trump's
I
saying. That's why he's bringing it up. He's helping them. So
yeah
tomorrow, at least it's going to start. The ball's going to drop. And
fascinating. This is going to be an amazing year. Either way, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be fascinating,
yeah,
hopefully for the good, but we
yeah,
never know. Don't be afraid. Just face infinity without flinching. And, no matter what happens, everything that you've done and seen and gone through and learned in your life so far is preparing you for this time. So just, stand tall, don't be
mm,
afraid, and, just do whatever you think is best for you and your family during this pivotal time in history.
yeah, yeah. And I'm glad we got to talk about it before the event tomorrow. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank everybody for your comments and participation. And I look forward to being on The Missing Link next month, February 19th. And I really look forward to that. And hopefully have you back on the show because I think we share a lot of the same interests. And I enjoy talking to you, to be honest. I like picking at your brain because we're on the same thing. We're on we're all over the target, our creator. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad I met you, and I thank you again for coming on. And she's ready to face infinity with you. Yeah, that'd be great. Yes, I think that's quite possible.
And I'd
Yeah,
love to talk to you more, and I'm definitely interested in coming back. I was supposed to take my car at 8, because I thought I wasn't going to be here until 9. And I've got to drop off my car. I'm an hour late, but hopefully I
oh,
can still,
oh,
he's fixing my
well,
car. I didn't want to cut it short because, like I said, I
oh,
thought
that's
we were
okay.
starting at 9 o'clock, but I wanted to
Mm,
spend a little time. But definitely enjoyed talking with you, and I'm definitely up to coming back anytime you invite me.
that's great. Feelings mutual. Thank you very much, and I hope you get your car. And I look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks for coming on the show. And
Sounds
thank you,
good. Thank
everyone else. And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you again next week on the Truth Table.